Alright, so the first movement we're going to look at is the chair sit. So the great thing about this crossbody back controller, at least utilizing the motorcycle grip, is that we're now able to perform a chair sit motion on the weak side. In back control basics, I showed you guys how to reset the back with a chair sit on the strong side. Not really an option without lever-based rotational control on the weak side. So this will really help round out your game, even if you're just using this for the aspect of being able to just reset the back. So I have the weak side control. I can have just a regular motorcycle grip. I might have a motorcycle grip where my right hand comes over top and I have control here, or I could have double motorcycle control. What I'm going to look to do is whether I want to attack the strong side, because that's just what I prefer, and we can use this to just move ourselves over, or more commonly, our partner is able to start shedding one leg off and they're starting to get their hips and their shoulders turned away. What I need to do is recognize that I don't want my leg underneath my opponent, because it ends up, he can use his hips to trap my leg here and it's going to be affecting me. A lot of answers we can do from here because his hips are so close to us. But what I want you guys to actually do is clear your leg out completely, which feels completely against what you're usually taught. But because we have the motorcycle control, because I have the twister hook, and by having my hips out here, it's going to allow me a lot more hip mobility like I talked about to get this twister hook and maintain it effectively, I'm going to have the ability to recover from here. What we're going to look to do is cause that kuzushi of redirecting our opponent off to the side to expose the space underneath the back of his hips and his shoulders, because it's going to be very hard for me to pull Kevin from here. So what I'm going to look to do is create that kuzushi motion by kicking his leg out this way. So here I'm going to do it with the extension. I don't have to do it with just my leg can kind of be extended where I push down and curve up, or I can do it by extending my leg out this direction. My toes are in base, and I'm going to look to move him as much as possible. I want to take away his ability to basically increase his lateral profile by taking his elbow and putting it out to the side here. If Kevin can put his elbow out really wide here, it's going to be very difficult for me to move him. Double motorcycle control allows me to use a 2-on-1 control where both my arms can overpower him and pull it in so that his elbow is really close to his body. So that now if he tries to put his elbow out in base, he can't. So that then when I start kicking him, I'm able to turn him as much as I want. Now, it's not uncommon for people to not want to get belly down because it's about the worst position you can be in a fight. So Kevin is either going to be planting his foot in base or his hand in base. As I start driving here, as he starts to resist this, it makes sense for me now to use his energy against him. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this knee up so I'm forming a knee-elbow connection, like a chair sit. I'm not going to be able to get as high as I normally would on a traditional chair sit. But now from here, I'm going to sit down to my hip, pulling his hips on top of me, and I'm going to kick his leg downwards like this. I can sit up with him if I'd like to. I usually prefer to try to because it gives me the ability now to generate a lot more base and hip mobility, but it's absolutely fine staying on your shoulders. From here, we're just looking to start, we can either kind of play the crossbody position in which I'm going to be twisting my partner's spine, which is what makes the crossbody a really strong position. I'm able to keep his right hip pinned, and by pulling and accessing the lever to his left shoulder, I can actually start to twist his shoulders into a different plane of direction than his hips, which creates a massive twist in his spine, breaking his posture, weakening his alignment. And from here, I'm going to be able to start looking at just getting into a rear naked choke. We'll go over that in a bit. Or just sitting at the strong side, posted on your elbow, everything I went over in back control basics. So, from here, I have the weak side control. He starts to get rid of this hook and he's getting his hip on top of it. So I'm just going to free it out. It's very easy for me to always get this leg out because I'm just going to be kind of leg pressing it out. From here, I'm keeping double motorcycle control. I got the twister hook in base. I'm going to cause the kuzushi by redirecting him so I can generate momentum. Look how that lifts him up, and I'm lifting my hips up. From here, whether I want to go this direction already or he's pushing against me, bringing my knee up so I'm underneath the small of his back at least, so that now it creates a fulcrum, and as I turn to this side, he lands on top of me. Because I have momentum with this and he's on top of me, I'm going to push with this hook, keeping a lot of pressure here, and use it to pull him to this direction. From here, what I normally do is I start immediately creating this twist and going into the choke. Because his posture is so broken, even though he's grabbing onto this hand right now, I'm in alignment, he is not. Overpowering him here is much easier. Or we land on this side, I put my other hook in, and I get my seatbelt control, and now I'm posted on my elbow. So just a faster kind of pace here. As he starts to get to this side and drive me away, I can start looking for that rear naked choke as I'm transitioning, because as soon as we land on one side and kind of become stagnant for a moment, solidify that position, then our partner's mind starts to shift into, well, it's time to start defending this one position. It's always best if you have it in your game to attack submissions during these transitions when your opponent is not thinking about it or even possibly disorientated. So this is a great way of resetting back control with the chair sit on the weak side. And I'm going to show you guys another option of using a hip shovel rather than having to go through that massive movement in the next video.